Hello everyone, my name is Chris Foldrum. I'm a student physical therapist assistant and I will be discussing lumbar spondylosis. So some quick background. Lumbar spondylosis can be described as all degenerative conditions affecting the discs, vertebral bodies, and associated joints of the lumbar vertebrae. It kind of goes synonymously with arthritis. They kind of go hand in hand with each other. Spondylosis is kind of an umbrella term. It encompasses many other pathological diseases of the spine, including spinal stenosis, degenerative spondylolisthesis, osteoarthritis, and many others. The changes in the spine normally caused through the normal wear and tear through the aging process, trauma, and daily use. So sports, sitting, walking, running, twisting, turning, bending over, these all take a toll on our spine. It's not a serious pathology, but it can definitely be a debilitating one and a painful one at that. It's the leading cause of disability and significant cause for reduced quality of life, and it affects a huge population, 80% of people over 40 years of age. So in this picture, I have some examples of disc problems. You see from top to bottom, normal healthy disc. You start seeing the breakdown in the degenerated disc. Then you have the bulging and herniated disc. Now both of these are putting pressure on those spinal nerves in that intervertebral foramen, probably causing some tingling, some numbness, muscle pain, weakness. Then you see underneath that the thinning disc. That disc is almost gone. You can see it's almost bone on bone. And this can cause sciatic pain, muscle weakness, numbness, and tingling as well. Underneath that, you have disc degeneration with osteophyte formation. These are bone spurs. They're usually formed over a long period of time, and they're quite common in people over 60 years of age. You can see these in a lot of imaging. These can cause impingement on nerves and cause pain symptoms that are similar to the thinning disc. So the journal that I looked into was a population-based study. It was on the study of the prevalence and features of symptomatic degenerative lumbar osteoarthritis in Chinese adults. All the participants were Beijing residents of at least 6 months and all randomly selected from urban, suburban, and rural areas. There were 3,900 adults aged 18 and older were invited to participate in the study, of which 3,859 were remaining for the final analysis. It was broken down. You had 1,820 females and 2,029 males, so it was pretty almost even sex-wise. The lumbar OA was diagnosed by clinical symptoms, physical examinations, and imaging techniques, x-rays, CAT scans, and MRIs. And the overall response rate was very good, 99.7%. The means of measure, I believe, were phenomenal. They had all the information was gathered through face-to-face interviews. They did a pilot study previous to the main study that was used to refine the study parameters and the ease and feasibility of the data collection. The investigators were also trained in data collection prior to the interviews, and the data was immense. They included place of residence, age, sex, per capita monthly income, educational level, type of insurance, body mass index, smoking, drinking history, type of work, exposure to vibration, working posture, duration of working posture during the day, modes of transportation, and number of hours of sleep per day. So they covered all areas pretty much, and they also broke each one of these down into different subgroups, which was just added to the detail. So the findings, out of the 3,895 participants, there were 348 cases of symptomatic lumbar OA, in total of which 293 were experiencing back pain. So that gave an overall prevalence of 9.02%. And you can see in this picture it increased with age, and the females had a higher percentage. It actually increased from 45 and younger. There wasn't that high of a prevalence. Then you can see it kind of spikes up from 45 to 59, and then it looks like just about everybody in urban, suburban, and rural areas, they all kind of had the same prevalence, and then it kind of jumped in the suburban county, 75 and older, and you can see how the females, they had a slight higher prevalence than the males. Some additional findings. Characteristics that had a higher prevalence of lumbar OA included the lower education, nature of work, which was physical based, body mass index of greater or equal to 28, frequent stooping, sleeping less than 7 hours a day, and holding the same work posture for 1 to 2 hours a day. So the way I looked at this was maybe with the lower lower education, you were probably forced, or you had a more physical based job, more bending down, more mechanical stress on the body and on the spine. The extra weight, probably that's just more stress on the spine. Sleeping less than 7 hours a day. We know sleep is important. We actually learned that we actually grow a small amount during sleep. The pressures from gravity, they're gone, so it allows the disc to replenish fluids and everything. And each one of these characteristics, lower education, nature of work, these were all broken down into different subgroups. So, for instance, the nature of work, they had physical-based, mental-based, and mixed. So the physical-based was definitely had a higher prevalence. The education had undergraduate or higher, junior college, senior high school, and junior high school or lower. So junior high school and lower had a higher prevalence. And if you go into the journal, you can actually see they have like 3 or 4 tables that they show more detail than I could actually post on here. So the prevalence of lumbar OA they saw is similar to COPD and diabetes in China. So you have an 8.9% COPD prevalence, and a 9.7% have diabetes. So OA is kind of right there at 9.02. COPD and diabetes are both non-infectious and non-transmissible diseases in China, and this just shows that lumbar OA is an epidemic amongst the general population in China. The strength of the research, in my opinion, was very strong. They had a thorough investigation. The research was very detailed, and the sample size, being that it was only 3,859 out of 22 million, 3,859 is still a pretty big crowd. 22 million, we're talking about the largest city in the world, Beijing, compared to New York. New York, I believe, is around 8.5 million. They covered numerous lifestyle characteristics to break down the prevalence of OA. They had a pilot study that was used to refine the parameters and test for the ease of data collection. And the investigators weren't just thrown into the field, they were trained prior to doing the actual study, which I thought was great. So in conclusion, nobody's immune to this type of pathology. It's just part of the aging process. We're all going to come to terms with some type of back pain in our lives eventually. There's many risk factors that are associated with OA. Our weight, our diet, our sleeping patterns, how we work, our body mechanics, these all are very important and are associated with risk of lumbar OA. With the aging population, the lumbar OA will be a severe problem in Beijing as well as worldwide. And this relates with PTA because not only will we be working with a huge population with these diagnoses, due to our job, we are at risk as well, especially with the use and practice of good body mechanics, which is why it is good that they be burned into our heads. Our bodies are our most valuable tool, so we need to take care. Well, in order to take care of our patients, we need to take care of ourselves first. So I hope you guys learned something from this. Thank you for listening, and have a great day. Here's my reference, by the way. Take care.